What messed up thing did your school do? Story 1. I was suspended for 2 days when I refused to throw a beverage away, like in the trash. I was in the gym for about 5 minutes for morning announcements. Waiting to leave, my class was about to go outside to walk to a different location. A teacher saw the drink, while others were also eating and drinking around me, and ordered mine to be trashed. I said I would gladly put it in my bag, in the locker room, in my car, in my locker, or outside, but I would not throw it away because it was food and I paid for it. This resulted in a 2-day suspension for insubordination because I wanted to compromise with a teacher, but she wanted to hear none of it. Oh, and then the assistant principal said I should probably just not come back to school since I was such a pain in the neck. I was 3 months away from graduation. Additionally, my school would penalize you for being tardy, but not for being truant. Every day, a few kids would be hustling to class and miss the late bell by seconds, and turn around to go home instead of to the office for a late pass. I was one of those kids because I had an after-school job that started promptly at 3 p.m. I couldn't afford to stay for detention due to tardiness because I couldn't lose my job. They claimed detention for tardiness was teaching us responsibility. Meanwhile, I was working 40 hours a week, buying my own food and clothes, and trying to hide from CPS that I wasn't living with my parents anymore. Thanks, high school, you were a blast. Story 2. When I was in elementary school, they didn't have ISS. In-school suspension, but I was so misbehaved they couldn't keep me in the classroom, so they cleaned out a janitor's closet and put a desk in it and locked me in. Every 30 minutes a different teacher would come back to check on me and then lock the door again. At the time I didn't realize how bad this was. What if there was a fire? What if I had to use the bathroom and no teacher was around? That's messed up. Edit. My top comment is about me getting locked in a closet as a kid. Cool. My parents never knew about it because I never told them. All they knew was I was in trouble and had to sign the conduct report. Another messed up thing that I did was after they stopped putting me in the closet, they started putting me in the conference room so they could keep better tabs on me. Well, they needed to use the conference room, so they told me to go back to class for an hour and then come back. Only they never told my teacher. So instead of going back to class, I walked home about 1 mile and just stayed there. I didn't get on the daycare bus after school, so they called my parents asking where I was. The principal, teacher, and daycare spent the next 2 hours trying to figure out where I was. This is the same time my dad just got home from work, before cell phones, and wondered why I was home and my sisters weren't. I told him I walked home from school, and then when he finally got in touch with my mom, who was still at work, they ended up solving the case. Story 3. In high school, I had an extremely deceptive a-hole of a boyfriend. I still can't tell you what kind of person he was, because everything he ever said was a lie, but I wasn't aware of that at the time, and I was so happy to find someone so similar to me. Another thing to note, I was not into illegal substances, and didn't really hang out with those that did. Not that I have an issue with it, but my mother and her boyfriend kept me under constant surveillance and would have made my life really difficult if my friends or I did. Well, I get to school one day and I am called to the dean's office. Apparently, my boyfriend has been selling illegal substances on school property. They have several witnesses but no evidence. But I do believe it was definitely possible. So obviously, I am 100% without a doubt selling them as well. They suspended me, despite my ignorance of the whole thing. They called my mother and told her that if he is doing it, I'm definitely selling and using too, and suggested having me tested. So life at home was awesome thanks to that. They also kicked me out of art class when they suspected I was guilty of vandalizing the studio along with other people's artwork. They told everyone I did it. I was proven innocent. They found the hundreds of dollars worth of stolen supplies used in the crime in some other a-hole's locker, but they never cleared my name. All my artwork was ruined by other students for the rest of the year, and no one was punished for that. Aside from all that, I was very badly treated by the administration. Those were easily the worst 4 years of my life. Story 4. Recently, my sister's high school only let the year 7 kids go out to watch the eclipse and made the years 8 and 9 stay inside. She was telling me that some of the teachers even shut the curtains so the older kids would carry on working. These kids are like 13 to 14 years old. They've never seen a total eclipse before, and the teachers wouldn't let them take 15 minutes to go outside and look. Story 5. Every scholarship a senior applied for had to go through the counselors at the school. The counselors then were later busted for selecting only the applications of their favorite students and sending those and tossing the rest. My brother went behind their backs and did his scholarships around town himself. The counselors found out about this and threatened him. That was messed up. Story 6. This wasn't my school, but my school's main rival. I guess that's what you would call it. They tried to ban the color red. Like flat out no red. Shirts, buttons, hair. I kid you not. If your hair was a little too red, even if it was natural, they would punish you. Story 7. My middle school had a rule that we weren't allowed to eat food while standing up. Also, we had a big grass field, and we weren't allowed to sit on it. I and my friends brought lawn chairs one day as a form of rebellion. Story 8. No nationwide scandals, just the hiring of a terrible person. There was a school counselor who worked with special ed students who should have been fired because he probably messed up an entire generation of kids. I had a permission that stated that I was allowed to leave the classroom at any time to sit in a special room if I had a panic attack. Other than a 45-minute study hall, I was in all mainstream classes. But each person on the same condition as me had to visit this counselor and his assistant for career planning once a week. I knew I wanted to go to a university rather than a trade school. Nothing wrong with trade schools, they just didn't have the major I wanted. The counselor refused to give me any information or applications, and this happened before that was all done online, telling me that the best I could hope for was to be committed to a good institution because I was too unstable to live on my own or ever have a fulfilling relationship. None of the kids in my study hall went on to any post-high school education, despite some of them being far more high-functioning than me and in better off families. I am convinced he crushed their dreams. I'm almost done though. It took a year and a half longer than normal, but I'm graduating in a month. Update. Looked up my old school webpage. He's still there. How unfortunate. Story 9. During the national exams, there was a really big case where this girl cheated on one of the exams. She literally wrote notes on her arms and covered them with her sleeves. Probably one of the most idiotic things I ever heard. And what's more surprising is that she is president of numerous academic service organizations. A girl like that should be smarter. Anyway, the whole school was at risk of getting all the students' scores cancelled and potentially being the joke of the school district. So the board members of the school paid some hush money to the right people so the news wouldn't go past the school gates. The girl got away with a slap on the wrists, everyone's scores were safe, and the college board never heard of the news. Talk about extremely shady. Story 10. As a fundraiser last year, my school played the song What Does the Fox Say? For a week over the PA system during passing periods. You could pay to stop the song and they were going to stop it once they met their goal. Doesn't seem too awful at first, but throughout the week, they made the song progressively louder, and by the middle of the week, they had dropped the words in the song and were just playing the most annoying part. at obnoxiously loud volumes. Teachers started to disconnect their PA systems in their rooms, students were complaining of migraines, and everyone was just super angry at the situation. You would think the lesson was learned, but they did the same fundraiser this year. Story 11. They took the doors off the bathroom stalls. They thought we were going to use illegal substances if we had privacy. So using the toilet in front of everyone, that's fun. Also, this was only in the boys' room. If I remember correctly, the girls said all their stalls had doors. Story 12. My school misused charity goods. After Hurricane Katrina, our school was given a bunch of school supplies and clothes to give out to those who need them. Instead, they gave them as rewards for good grades or attendance after they reopened. Oh, your house was destroyed and you have nothing left? Sorry, you have a C in English. No backpack for you. You missed a few days because you were picking through the rubble, looking for anything you could salvage? You're disqualified. Story 13. On Friday, we did a sponsored walk for children in Sierra Leone. Yesterday came out over 90% of the money will be spent on the school. Story 14. Junior high. Students were locked into the lunch area during lunch period to prevent students from roaming the halls. I didn't realize how dangerous it was, for example in case of fire, until one day some kid poured super glue on one of the locks as a prank, and everyone started to get claustrophobic and freak out. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the bell button to receive notifications to my latest videos.